In every case, there's a story the public is told, and the details they bury, details that can change everything. Tonight, we revisit a name that never should have been forgotten. This is Unheard Evidence. One wrong word can derail an entire investigation. In Willow Creek, it wasn't a slip of the tongue. It was a foundation of a cover-up. The jury heard Rusk. But the real name could blow this case wide open. When the Winters murder trial wrapped in 2011, the jury had been told they were dealing with a clue-cut case. A transient, Tyler Rusk, was convicted largely on circumstantial evidence, inconsistent alibi, proximity to the scene, and what the prosecution called overwhelming forensic indicators. There was no mention, none, of the 911 call Camille would later uncover. No mention that a woman's voice had said something that, if heard clearly, could have changed everything. The official transcript of the call, never played for the court, was based on a single, disputed source, a half-page audio summary allegedly written by dispatcher Kenneth Doyle. In it, he claimed the caller had given a partial name, Rusk. The prosecution leaned on that, linking Rusk to Rusk. It was neat, too neat. When Camille first listened to the raw audio, she didn't hear Rusk. Neither did the two former dispatchers she consulted. They heard something more like Colden or Golden. The syllables were stretched, breaking under stress, but the EN ending was distinct. Nikhil Devani, the forensic audio engineer, ran frequency isolation on the clip and confirmed the consonant structure didn't match Rusk at all. You can fake clarity, Devani told her. You can introduce distortion so a listener hears what you want them to hear. It's called phonetic suggestion. But in the untouched sample, it's a three-syllable pattern, ending in an N sound. Doyle's transcript is either an error or a fabrication. Willow Creek had no listed residents by that name in 2010. But cross-referencing old tax rolls and property deeds revealed something Camille found hard to believe. In 1997, a 14-acre parcel of forest just east of Elk Ridge had been purchased by a C. Colden, paid in cash. The sale was handled through a Portland law firm later implicated in laundering money for offshore shell companies. The land bordered a service road that, in 2010, still connected, unofficially, to the fire tower. No building permits were ever filed. No tax payments made after 2005. And yet, when Camille checked satellite imagery from 2012, she saw a rectangular structure on the property that hadn't been there in earlier years. By now, Doyle had gone from a mysterious figure to the gravitational center of the entire mess. Internal dispatch rosters from October 21st, 2010, show that he wasn't supposed to be alone on shift. A trainee was scheduled to shadow him until midnight. The trainee's name was Randy Cho, no relation to Daniel Cho, but according to his personnel file, he left early due to illness and logged no activity after 10:42 p.m. That meant Doyle was the sole gatekeeper for incoming emergency calls during the 11:30 to 12 o'clock window, the very period in which the Winters call would have come through. Devani's analysis had already suggested the call was layered, a patch between two audio environments. In late 2022, Camille tracked down a retired telecom technician, Morgan Ash, who had done contract work on Oregon's rural 911 system in the mid-2000s. Ash explained how an operator could reroute a live call into a recording loop. If you're sitting at the terminal, you can capture an incoming call, feed it into another line, say a closed channel to a fire tower repeater, and pull from that instead of the live feed. The caller thinks they are talking to dispatch, but they are actually talking to whoever's at the other end. When Camille asked if that could be done without leaving a trace, Ash smiled. Only if you're the one who runs the logs. After Camille's disappearance, Daniel Cho tried following her breadcrumb about the name they got wrong. His break came from an unlikely source, an old VHS tape donated to the Willow Creek Historical Society by a retired high school coach. The tape contained footage from the 2005 Rotary Club picnic. At the 32-minute mark, the camera panned past Eli and Marlene Winters talking to a tall, sender-haired man. Off camera, someone says, "That's Colden, his back." Daniel froze the frame. The man was wearing a county maintenance badge, a badge that, in 2010, would have granted him access to restricted service roads. On June 14, 2023, For months after Daniel found the tape, an anonymous email landed in his encrypted inbox. It contained an audio file only 19 seconds long. The voice was unmistakably Camille's. If you got this, you've already heard the name. He's not in the books. Check the maintenance logs. Fire Tower, October 18th. October 18th, 2010, 3 days before the Winters murders. Obtaining the logs took Daniel 6 weeks of wrangling with the County Public Works Department. When they finally arrived, most entries were routine: road grading, culvert checks, brush clearing. But under October 18th, tower generator, Elk Ridge, technician, C. Colden. The job code listed was 999B, which, according to a former county employee, was an off-ledger code used for jobs funded by outside contracts. If Colden had been working on the fire tower's generator just 3 days before the murders, and Doyle had the power to patch calls into that tower's repeater, the picture shifted. It suggested a pre-existing link, a line ready to be used, and perhaps already tested. In August 2023, a former Willow Creek councilwoman, Janice Lowe, came forward with something she'd never shared publicly. I saw Doyle and a man I didn't know having coffee at the diner the week after the murders. I only remember because Doyle was usually a keep-to-himself type. The man was tall, light hair, work boots. They leaned in close, and at one point Doyle said, "She said your name. I had to cover it." Lowe didn't know the man's name, but when Daniel showed her the frozen frame from the Rotary picnic tape, she pointed without hesitation. That's him. By late 2023, the emerging theory among those still following Camille's trail was this: Colden, possibly an off-books counter maintenance worker, had access to the Elk Ridge fire tower. Doyle had the ability to intercept and reroute 911 calls through that tower's repeater. On October 21st, 2010, a woman in or near the Winters house tried to call for help. Her call was patched, not to police, but to someone listening at Elk Ridge. She spoke Colden's name. Doyle altered the transcript to Rusk, allowing investigators to link it to Rusk and build their case. But who was a caller? The voice didn't match Marlene Winters, nor did it match any known neighbors. Daniel began combing through 2010 police logs for women who had made emergency calls in the weeks before the murders. One stood out. Leah Parker, 34, reported a trespasser on her property on October 2nd, 2010. The report was closed with no suspect found. Leah Parker left Willow Creek in 2011, divorced, remarried in California. When Daniel finally tracked her down, she denied ever calling 911 in relation to the Winters. But when he played her the unaltered audio clip, she went silent for 14 seconds before hanging up. That was 6 months ago. Since then, Daniel has received 3 anonymous text messages. It wasn't just Winters. Check the holo. Transmission coming soon. The holo may refer to Garrison Hollow, the 2009 case Camille had flagged as missing call number 1 before her disappearance. That case, never solved, involved the death of a logger found at the base of a ravine, with signs of blunt force trauma but ruled accidental fall. The wrong name in a transcript can do more than convict the wrong man. It can erase the right one. Doyle knew that. Camille knew that. And maybe that's why one of them is gone. And the other is still out there. You've been watching Unheard Evidence. Stay vigilant, because the truth refuses to stay hidden. Subscribe, like, and share to stay tuned.